Rafael Fiziev, man, he's come a long way, even with that loss to Justin Gaethje. I think one thing that he solidified for sure is that he's on the cusp of being one of those top 4, top 5 fighters.
Here are your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
We have life in the stagnant lightweight division. We have 2 contenders that are ready to make their mark and break into that coveted top 4, top 5 that's been stalemated for so long, folks. My name is Derick G. Welcome back to another episode of the Bloody Water Podcast. Breaking it down with me, as always, the New Mexico native, the Santa Fe bomber, AJ. This is the new generation. This is the new crop of fighters. These are the people we should be excited for because the Dustin Poiriers, the Charles Oliveira's, I mean, we got Islam Makhachev and all that good stuff. Benny Dariush, he needs his shot. But these are the guys that we're going to be talking about 5 years from now, 7 years from now, still making their mark. What are your thoughts on this main event, bro? Is this the proving grounds?
This is the proving grounds, Derek, and I'm excited. I'm glad you brought up that it's lightweight because I kind of forgot that these fighters are in the lightweight because it's been such a stagnant division going forward. But you're right. These are the fighters, man. Gamrot as well as Fiziev are going to be the ones we're talking about for a while, and they're going to be the ones in the mix for that championship hunt here in the future. Like you said, we got Islam as the big bad top dog, but these ones are nipping at the heels, trying to get in there, trying to make their splash, and I think this is the weekend that we're going to be able to see at least some moves made. Derek, are you as excited for this fight weekend as I am?
You know what? I am. I actually am. And I feel like a lot of people aren't because these aren't the most notable names, I suppose. But in terms of technical proficiency, ADCC submission grappler, Mateusz Gamrot, Muay Thai coach at Tiger Muay Thai, fantastic kickboxing record, Rafael Fiziev. This is an old school matchup in terms of striker versus grappler, but much more nuanced than that. And we're going to break it all down, folks. We have a couple other good fights. Thug Nasty, Bryce Mitchell versus 50K Dan Ige, as well as Marina Rodrigues versus Michelle Waterson-Gomez, the Karate Hottie. AJ, it's going to be a fun one. I don't know what else to say on that one. But before we get started, of course, we need to assess the scoreboard. 98 and 68 for the losing side, my side. If you're tailing my picks, folks, listen, we almost with AJ, but he is in the lead, 101, 64, and 3. AJ, just quick thought as we enter the week. How are you feeling in terms of that lead?
Hey, I'm feeling about the lead, Derek. Never safe. Never taking my foot off the gas over here, brother. We all know that this is it might be the fourth quarter of the year, but it's really rush time for this, this competition we got going on. And folks, you might have heard Derek say he's on the losing side over there, but check that record, 98 and 63. Even if you're betting with him or whether you're betting with me, we're winning you money week in and week out. And that's the most important thing right there. Yeah, those numbers at the bottom, that's a competition between, us over here. But either way, whoever wins, y'all are winning some money and we're filling those pocketbooks week in and week out.
He said it. Listen to the man. AJ knows what he's talking about. Folks, we also hold ourselves accountable here if you're new to the show. So we are going to be posting a preview, right, of the picks on Twitter, on the Bloody Water Podcast Twitter page. I believe we were at Bloody Water Pod, as well as the aftermath and the results. So this is not just for play. We don't just give you picks, run away, and never talk about it. You're going to find out who won, who lost. And AJ, man, why are we missing any more words? It's time for that TLDR. Folks, get your countdown ready. But you got to make sure you subscribe before we do that, man. This is your favorite fighter's favorite fight show. I'm going to ask you to subscribe again, but for now, do it. If you haven't, let's talk about it. All right, AJ, I'm getting ready to count down. They got 3, 2, take your screenshots, folks. That is it for the main card money line bet sheet. One thing that I'm noticing, AJ, is that as we draw closer and closer to the end of this competition for the 2023 year, picks are getting a little more similar, a little less strayed on each card. Not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing because that means that we're really thinking about these picks. And we have 4 Bloody Water Podcast consensus picks. AJ, let's talk about them. Rafael Fiziev. We like Marina Rodrigues. We like Brian Battle. And then ultimately, we like Charles Jourdain. One conflicting pick, but we're going to talk about that in a second. As always, AJ, give us a theme for the picks this week.
The theme for the picks this week's a little more challenging for me, Derek. I think the theme that I'm going with is opportunity. The opportunity to either take what was, presented on the plate or the opportunity to really solidify yourself as that dog. And then when it comes to me in that mindset, it's Brian Battle. This guy has a lot of opportunity, but so do the other fighters to kind of differentiate themselves from the rest of the competition. What's your theme going into this week, Derek?
Inflicting your will, inflicting your game plan, making the fight where you want the fight to take place. I think that's the theme for every single one of the fighters that we just listed, and the only sole pick that is contrasting right there, it's still pretty much the same depending on who you're picking. Either way, folks, those are the picks. If you're interested in figuring out why we're picking and going through the X's and O's, stick around. We got a lot for you. You want to take the picks, run, do it, but just make sure you thank us when you win a ton of money. You already dig, and AJ already said I'm going to ask him to subscribe again. I know you're a demanding type individual, but I will ask, folks, we're like 5 subscribers away from 700 subscribers. That is 7/10 of the way to 1,000 subscribers. That is a massive army. We are no longer stuck at small army behind us. We can go and raid a small village. We've talked about this before. AJ, tell the people they need to subscribe, right?
We can go and raid a small village, and it's all because of you folks. We're not even having any problems anymore raiding the village. They're opening up the door for us with welcome arms because we're still winning them money as well, folks. And that's the most important thing right here. Winning you money week in and week out with the picks. Back end for the accountability as well. What else do you want? And yeah, I make a lot of demands over here. You need to subscribe. And I say you need to subscribe because we're winning you money, man. Back and forth, week in, week out. What else do you want? All we want is just a little bit of subscription down below. And as well as hit those comments, make sure that people know that you've been riding with us from day one, that you're winning the cash because it's out there to be had. And if your hands aren't the ones grabbing it, it's going to be somebody else. That's why you need to make sure you're subscribed down below and actually get rolling with us.
Buddy Water Podcast, your favorite fighter's favorite fight show. All right, folks, let's talk about a main card breakdown.
Here's to another main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
Rafael Fiziev, man, he's come a long way, even with that loss to Justin Gaethje. I think one thing that he solidified for sure is that he's on the cusp of being one of those top 4, top 5 fighters. Well, AJ, what are these guys fighting for? Number 6 versus number 7. Somebody has got to eventually end up in this upper echelon, right? Be those guys that are next in line for the title shot. Maybe not 1 fight away, maybe not 2, but somewhere in that range. Striker versus grappler. AJ, what do you think about this matchup?
I mean, you laid it out in the beginning, Derek, kind of that classic striker versus grappler match we used to see back all the way at the beginnings of USC. But you're right. There's more nuance to this one because these guys are the full-rounded mixed martial artists. Yeah, Fiziev might be the more technical striker. He's the kickbox instructor. And as well as, like you said, Mateusz Gamrot, 80 ACC. I forgot, I just butchered the acronym, but you're the jiu-jitsu guy, Derek. You know it exactly. But none to say, man. Mateusz Gamrot is a very dangerous grappler, but he's also a really good striker as well, man. He has the abilities and the knowledge to kind of get things done. We'll see if it ends up being that classic mix-em-up, match-em-up of these two. But I want to tackle what you were saying before, Derek. What are these guys fighting for? Yeah, that number 5 spot does look real juicy. You know, it's very tantalizing if you're one of these guys coming up with a mix of how stagnant that top ranking of the lightweight has been. But I think it's all a little bit more of acknowledgement or recognition, if you will, for these fighters, showing the rest of the fan base that they're able to break into that and be held as one of the top dogs. I think that's a little bit more valuable than just a number next to your name. I mean, the number helps, don't get me wrong. It does kind of provide that acknowledgement for the casual fans, but the hardcores know these guys have been working their way up the rungs, up the ladder to really scratch and claw their way to the top. And now's the proving ground. Now's the time to actually make that big impact on the fight scene. Do you think it's the same kind of value prop going right there for him? And 2, do you think we're going to see a technical strike right here, a technical showdown? Or is this going to be kind of a mix-em-up brawl because these guys are so technical both directions? What do you think?
I mean, a lot to unpack right there. I will say this. At the end of the day, these guys, I think that more than anything, they're living up to the original hype that they came into the UFC with, really, man. Fiziev was super hyped up, lost his debut to Mustafayev in his debut. So, you know, that was neither here nor there, right? Rattled off a long win streak after. Gamrot, a lot of guys, even though he lost to Guram Kutateladze in the beginning too, right? A lot of these guys were like, these are the guys, they're going to be fighting for the championship. And, you know, years later, not really that many years later, but these years later, here they are, right? So will this be a technical matchup? I think this will absolutely be a technical matchup because that's the best path to victory for both guys. Rafael Fiziev strings and weaves together his combination so beautifully in such a way that if you go into a brawling type opportunity, I think you're just going to get clipped by this guy. But Gamrot has such technical grappling capacities that he could really stall a lot of that offense of a Rafael Fiziev. I think the big question right here, to get deeper into that same paradigm, I guess, single legs. Mateusz Gamrot does a lot of his work by starting with a single and then kind of using that to transfer to another maneuver. He strings together his grappling attempts. It never really ends after the first attempt, right? Will that single leg be enough for Rafael Fiziev to freeze his offense, just as I was mentioning? Because that happens a lot, and we underestimate it. But then again, there's that window of danger of you go for the single, you get caught going for the single, and you don't have an opportunity to string them together. Kind of loaded question, but what do you think?
No, I agree with you, Derek. That's the best option for Mateusz Gamrot right here going into this. If he wants to put this fight on his grounds, he's going to need to be shooting for the single leg. He's going to need to be stifling the attack of Fiziev. Now, the thing is, Fiziev, he likes to brawl. He's down for brawl. He may not like it. It seems like he does in his fights. He's smiling. He's excited. The brawl's going down. He's happy as can be. But when that is going on, I mean, Fiziev is no stranger to stepping toe-to-toe and swinging it out, but that's when Gamrot is going to have his best opportunity to duck under, get to that single leg. And that right there, that little entrance or that middle ground of these two fighters, that's where I'm curious to see how this fight unloads. Whoever is able to control that chaos of that middle action, that's going to be who's the one's going to find the most success in this fight right here. Now, if Fiziev is able to get in that mix and then back up on out and not allow Gamrot to get close, get the hands on the hips, or even, like you said, get that single leg and get the work to the takedown, then Fiziev's going to find some ability. But honestly, Derek, I'm a little worried on this one, man. I don't know if he's going to be able to stop that because Gamrot has such good pressure fighting going forward. If Gamrot is able to put Fiziev on the back foot, I don't know if we're going to see as much output as Fiziev has shown in the past. He's definitely that very technical striker, and he's able to get in those brawls. But do you find him finding success in that middle, in that mix-em-up like we're talking about, Derek? Or is Gamrot a little more valuable in that mix-em-up? What do you think?
One thing that we definitely saw in Gamrot's last outing, and it was a stark difference in opposition, but against Jalen Turner, was closing that distance is not quite as easy as it seems, especially when you have a really skilled striker in front of you. Now, Fiziev doesn't enjoy a 5-inch reach and height advantage like Jalen Turner did. But the difference is his skill set in terms of his striking is so phenomenal. I think there's going to be very little room for error to shoot without setting up your shots for Gamrot. So I think Gamrot will not be able to have success in his grappling unless he sets it up with his striking. That's the problem. If you have to engage in the striking with Fiziev, you're in for a world of hurt, and we've seen this time and time again. It was a very close fight with Justin Gaethje. It'd be criminal to say that Justin Gaethje smoked him, because he didn't, but he did beat him. The right man did win, and Rafael Fiziev, with that loss, it makes me wonder how much is he going to grow, because listen, you're fighting another southpaw. This southpaw does not carry nearly the amount of danger on the feet that Justin Gaethje did, but you do have to admit, Mateusz Gamrot is a very talented finisher. Believe it or not, man, all of his finishes do not come by submission, even though we would think, leg locks, heel hooks, all Kimuras, all that type of stuff. He has that, right? And as of late, we've seen some stuff like that, but he finishes people, man. And I wonder if he gets Rafael Fiziev down, can he keep him there? Rafael Fiziev, quick stat. He's been taken down 3 times in his UFC tenure. All 3 takedowns have happened in the last 3 fights that he's had, right? Justin Gaethje, Rafael Dos Anjos, Brad Riddell. He won 2 of those 3 fights, and that Justin Gaethje takedown was really just like a third round, last-ditch effort takedown, seal the fight, right? So my question to you is Gamrot the level of fighter that Brad Riddell, RDA, Justin Gaethje is to actually get him down if nobody else has been able to do it? Mark Chikasi couldn't, Renato Moicano, Bobby Green, Alex White, none of these guys could. What do you think?
In my opinion, Derek, and I'm hoping I'm going to eat some crow if this is the case that happens when we have our accountability hour in the next show. But I don't think Gamrot is that kind of fighter in order to get those. And don't get me wrong, I do think he has the ability once he gets to the ground to be able to do some moves and to be able to work in. But in that mix-em-up, in that middle ground, I don't think he has the technical proficiency in order to provide a threat to Fiziev. And I only say that because Fiziev has seen it all, done it all, and with some of the baddest men in the octagon, in the organization, and having that kind of, not curriculum, but having that kind of background in the fight, in that style, I think is going to weigh massive for Fiziev's favor going forward. Like you said, Derek, I'm curious to see how well he's going to grow in this, because that's what I think is going to be the hardest part for Gamrot to really get inside. Setting it up, setting the takedown, throwing the hands, throwing the legs, and then set that takedown up so that way Fiziev doesn't see it. Having Fiziev not see it is my biggest hang-up right there for Gamrot. What do you think? What's the easiest way for Gamrot to get in there and set something up? Because to me, Derek, it's going to be after that 4-punch combo, maybe a leg kick, something like that. But get Fiziev thinking up top while you're going underground, getting that leg, taking him down. I think, Derek, I think Fiziev can get back up after the takedown. I don't know. What do you think?
I think Fiziev has great hips. I think he'll be able to sprawl if he sees anything coming. So the only way that you don't see it coming is you got to be willing to eat one in order to get the takedown. The problem is, can you survive eating one? I don't know. So let's kind of mix up the conversation. Let's talk about these odds, man. For Mateusz Gamrot, if you are betting on the live dog, if you think he is that, there's really only two props I think you should be concerning yourself with. And believe it or not, I don't think submission is one of them. I think it's that plus 285 decision or that plus 800 TKO. Have a hard time seeing him submitting Rafael Fiziev, but I can see him getting him in a spot where maybe you just can't get up. You're locked in some crazy position. You got your arm handcuffed, and then you're just getting your face beaten. You can't respond to the referee, and then you get TKO'd. I can see that in the realm of possibilities. I'm not betting on that one, but what do you think about those odds?
I like him, Derek. I mean, the plus 800, I can see it because of the chaos that Fiziev's going to present as well. He's not going to be backing down from the fight, even if Fiziev's on the back foot. So I can see where that chaos can kind of come in, and we're looking for that TKO on Gamrot's side. I was honestly the one that's most, I think, likely to happen if I'm a Gamrot bettor right here is that plus 135 money line, because he has multiple ways to get it done. The chaos that can come from this fight, it's going to present themselves opportunities. And we saw it last week. You can't take just because somebody's so good at submissions for the fact that they won't take the easy knockout or the decision or the technical win. So I like that money line bet. But if you're going for Gamrot, that's what I'm looking at, if not the decision, because Fiziev's going to be a very hard fighter to put away. What do you think on the other end, Derek? That plus 150 TKO, that's where my eyes go right away for Fiziev, just because of his technical proficiency. But at the same point, Gamrot is also a very hard guy to put away. I mean, you look at both of his losses in the last 9, hasn't had all his losses are by decision. One of them is a split, one of them is unanimous to Benny Dariush. That plus 285, do you see a lot of value in that decision for Fiziev?
100%, man. I think it's very clear cut. I like Rafael Fiziev. I like him by decision in this fight. It worries me a little bit because Gamrot's 5-round fights have been against higher opposition fighters than Rafael Fiziev. So we have Arman Tsarukyan in the camp of Gamrot. For Fiziev, you had RDA. You knocked him out in the 5th round. Not quite the same fighter as Arman Tsarukyan, who really pushed the pace on Islam Makhachev. All right, let's close this one out, man. I like Fiziev by decision. I think it's pretty clear in this one. It's going to be a good back and forth affair. You like Fiziev as well. AJ, anything else to add?
I like Fiziev, and I like the decision because of how technical this fight's going to go. Don't blink, folks. A finish could happen, but I think we're in store for the long one. It's going to be a lot of fun, though.
That's right. Fair play. Good main event on deck right here. Like I said, folks, this is the future of the lightweight division, so you definitely should keep your eyes peeled. All right, let's move on to this co-main event. Thug Nasty, Bryce Mitchell. He's looking to avenge that loss against Ilia Topuria versus Dan Ige, and he's even gone so far as to say that fight, that loss, it doesn't count, bro. I shouldn't have took the fight. I was sick. I didn't feel good. I need a rematch. Well, he's not going to get the rematch, but he does get a fight against this guy, Dan Ige, which is a touch of a step down in opposition if you compare Edson Barbosa and Ilia Topuria being his last two. But Dan Ige is no slouch, and some would say he is absolutely a live dog in this co-main event. AJ, what do you like about Dan Ige to stop the stifling wrestling approach of Bryce Mitchell?
Ooh, power, Derek. Power, I think, was one of the best things that Ige has to him, as well as the veteranship in his mentality. What I'm thinking about for Dan Ige, anytime I'm seeing an Ige fight, this guy's going to be calm, composed, cool, calculated, and all the things he does, and then has the power to back those things up. He knows when the shot's going to be, and at least in my opinion, and you can argue this as much as you want to, I think Dan Ige has the striking advantage going into this one. I mean, obviously, we know Bryce Mitchell. He's a very good grappler. He has, all the technique in the world for there, but we've seen him be a step behind in the striking, and not necessarily in technique-wise, but also in speed. I think Dan Ige, he's going to have the speed, he's going to have the power, but agility, youthfulness, technique on the ground. Bryce Mitchell does have a lot of X factors going to him for this one. If you're betting on Dan Ige, Derek, where do you find a lot of comfort in that bet for his fight style?
I mean, I'm not betting on Dan Ige, so I'm going to have to try to play make pretend right here, bro. Honestly, I don't really like Dan Ige in this matchup here. I think his most success is going to come from being an Ilia Topuria, walking Bryce Mitchell down and just leaving him no opportunity to shoot. But I don't really see Dan Ige fighting like that. He doesn't really fight like that, right? I think, if anything, Bryce Mitchell's going to put a pace on him, and he's going to try to counter-strike. I think it's going to be like a very clear-cut fight that way, or try to meet him in the middle. I don't see the same athleticism as Edson Barbosa to where he can catch Bryce Mitchell on a shot, like with a knee or anything like that. I think that the power is nasty. I think that he can catch Mitchell, for sure. I just think that if Bryce Mitchell puts him down, he gives him the Movsar Evloev approach, takes him down 9 times, washing machine, over and over and over again. And when you have a Bryce Mitchell at 145 who is rejuvenated, who feels like he was wronged in his last fight because he took it on pride and ego and not off of real logic, I think he's looking to prove a point right here. So I'm not super confident in Dan Ige, but like, explain, if you had to like visualize what an opportunity looks like where Dan Ige can display the power, how does he keep this fight standing?
Allow Bryce Mitchell to start walking it down. Kind of put that pace. Allow him to get comfortable and think this is his fight while you're cutting corners and hitting those counter shots and then backing out as well. Kind of trying to maintain the range because we know Bryce Mitchell, he's going to be looking to get this fight to the ground. You need to be working the leg kicks. You need to be working the jab, popping him out there, keeping the distance. Now, like you said, man, I don't know if necessarily Dan Ige is that kind of fighter where he's going to be in full control the whole time. I do think Bryce Mitchell will be putting the pace on him, but at that point, all you need is one momentum shift, one moment where Bryce Mitchell lapses just a little bit, crack him on the chin, the fight takes a whole different turn. Each round starts on the feet. I think the beginning of the rounds are where it's most pivotal for Dan Ige to really control this fight, or at least get the fight in his favor right there. And if Dan Ige is going to do that, it's going to have to be the power. It's going to have to be the shots up the middle, the uppercuts, the jabs down the pipe, as well as the leg kicks. That's what I like right here for Dan Ige. And to be honest with you, Derick, and you folks, fans out there in the watching this, just be completely transparent. This was a hard one for me to pick. And yeah, I'm rolling with the underdog. I'm rolling with Dan Ige, but this is a very, very close fight. And it all comes down to who's going to be the man that night that has the comfort in the ring. Who's most comfortable doing that? Because if you have one slip with either of these fighters, it's just a downward spiral from then on out. Do you think it's the same, Derick? Do you think it's going to be best man wins that night? Or, 9 times out of 10, does Bryce Mitchell win this fight?
Man, I would love to agree. I love me some Dan Ige, bro. I'll just say that, right? I love me some Dan Ige. I love the local Vegas presence and all of that good stuff. But AJ, I don't know if I've ever been as far apart on a pick as we are on this one, simply because if Korean Zombie was able to use wrestling to pretty much dominate Dan Ige, followed that up by Movsar Evloev, I know people don't really give Bryce Mitchell that credit, but I think he's that caliber of wrestler, not of a Korean Zombie, of a Movsar Evloev, of a high-level, high-octane grappler who can put you in very nasty situations and finish you with that alone. Now, the striking, we do see spinning kicks and stuff like that from him, but I really just think that if Dan Ige is focused too much on landing that right hand and trying to have a Gavin Tucker performance again where you just let him come in and drop him, you're going to get taken down and you better be able to get up. So I hope we see a very competitive fight. I really like Bryce Mitchell here. There's a reason I think that odds makers see it as a minus 115 decision for the prop, right? I like the submission, but I think that if anything for me, I go minus 190 Bryce Mitchell for the money line, or you just kind of pass on it and you'll watch right there, man, because there's not a ton of value on Bryce Mitchell at minus 190, but at the same time, I mean, shoot, fuck it, why not? You know what I mean? If you're rolling with Doug Nasty, roll heavy with Doug Nasty, baby. I think that this is almost a lock right here. Do you have any back take on that one, or what you think?
I mean, this fight right here gives me a pause for hesitation because I do see a world where Bryce Mitchell kind of stifles the striking of Dan Ige and really controls the fight. I can see that happening, but at the same point, like you said, man, Gavin Tucker ate a hell of a right hand, and that's how a lot of Dan Ige's fights go. They call him 50K Ige for a reason because he's getting bonuses left and right. I'm rolling Dan Ige, Derick, and honestly, I'm taking that plus 160 money line because I can see it going a multitude of ways. Knockout, decision. Although, Bryce Mitchell, you never know what this guy's going to bring. Thug Nasty is nasty at the end of the day, so I'm taking that money line prop on Dan Ige.
And money line prop on Bryce Mitchell for my end, folks. This is the sole controversial pick of the night. Everything else is a Bloody Water Podcast lock. But listen, happy hunting for whoever you tailing, baby. Let's get it. All right, AJ. Marina Rodrigues versus Michelle Waterson-Gomez, man. Rodrigues, she comes back and she has a fight on her hands, man. That's really all that you can say about this one. I don't know why this fight has taken place. I guess this is the more apt thing for me to say, AJ. What exactly happened to the trajectory of a Marina Rodrigues where now she's fighting Michelle Waterson-Gomez, man, you know?
I mean, she's taking a back step, you know? It seemed like Marina Rodrigues, especially, what was it, the Amanda Ribas knockout, the double knockout, technically, because Amanda Ribas is a gangster. But when Marina Rodrigues started on that roll, she was really looking to the top, man. She was kind of grinding, kind of doing it. But after dropping one to Amanda Lemos and then the next one to Virna Jandiroba, it seems like she's almost found her spot as equals to Michelle Waterson, the karate hottie. I mean, we all know Waterson, what was it, 2-3 years ago, she was on a tear. You know, the Joanna and Jacek fight, man. People were looking at her, man. She has everything that the crowd wants to see in a champion. She just wasn't able to deliver in the Karate Hottie. Now it seems like Marina Rodrigues has kind of find herself in that same kind of a water, you know, and not to make a pun on Waterson's name, but because of the level that both these fighters at, very talented, very skilled, just kind of drop someone and falling into obscurity. That's where we found Marina Rodrigues, at least now. Do you think this is the opportunity to take herself out of that obscurity and into the limelight again, Derick? What do you think?
I just don't know what this win does for her. I don't think that this really propels you. And to me, this is all opportunity for Michelle Waterson-Gomez, man. To her to say, hey, listen, I can still compete with these high upper echelon fighters. I can compete with them. I'm still here. I still deserve a shot. And in her pre-fight presser, all she could talk about is, I talked to some referees. I kind of have an idea for what they're looking for. And sometimes you got to play the game. So what that signals to me is that she's in a stage of her career right now where ego is thrown out the window. Wins are what matters, which is actually what concerns me about this matchup. So, AJ, I know it's kind of crazy, but I do see Waterson-Gomez as a real live dog against Marina Rodrigues, given she just almost can't not get taken down. You know what I mean? Like, last two fights, Vina Jandiroba, Amanda Lemos, both of them have real takedown capacities. Jandiroba especially, man. She can take down anybody, the best of them, right? Now, when she has that split against Yan Xiaonan, that win against Mackenzie Dern, she already beat, this is a rematch, man. She already beat Michelle Waterson. So it's just like, it was 5 rounds too, man. So it's just like, man, what are we looking for? What does this do? You lose. It's a lose-lose for Marina Rodrigues. All opportunity for Michelle Waterson-Gomez. But at the end of the day, man, let's just say, stunning walk-off KO against Waterson-Gomez. Best possible situation, pure domination, right? She's still going to get matched up with somebody that's kind of middle of the pack, right?
100%, Derick. I couldn't agree with you more. This fight right here is all in favor of Waterson. It seems like it's one of those ones where the UFC, they know, hey, you lost one to this lady, go get it back. You still can get the steam you once had. But man, this is everything for Waterson-Gomez and basically nothing for Rodrigues, because you're right. If she gets this win, stunning fashion, walk-off KO in 28 seconds, she's still probably fighting around that top 10 to 5 mark. She's definitely not getting the bump she once had, and she will be fighting in not obscurity land, but in that kind of gatekeeper position, if you will.
You want to hear a crazy stat, AJ? Marina Rodrigues has been taken down in each of her last 8 fights. She is 4-4 in that span. That's not good, man. And I'm a big fan of Rodrigues. I think her striking is top-notch, man. I think she could really get it in. But those losses were to Cynthia Calvillo, Carla Esparza, Amanda Lemos, and Vina Jandiroba. The wins were against Hibas, Michelle Waterson, Mackenzie Dern, and Yan Xiaonan. So it's kind of crazy because the names that you expect that she would probably lose to, she beat. And then the ones you thought that she would beat, she lost to. And I think that's what it comes down to in this matchup here. I'm a big fan of Rodrigues. I just think that she does tend to underperform. And every time she gets to that big moment where we can really take her over the top, just kind of falters, which is not a bad thing at the end of the day, man. You know what I mean? She's fighting killers, but she's also a little up there in age, 36 years old versus the 37-year-old Michelle Waterson. So Michelle is not quite as old as people would like to believe, which once again, do you see any credence to the live dog status that I'm giving to Waterson-Gomez, or do you think that this should be a pretty easy walk in the park for Rodrigues in a rematch?
Oh, no, I see a lot of value in the Waterson-Gomez pick because she's been growing her game exponentially, Derick. We've seen her transform from the persona, the karate hottie, to an actually very skilled fighter going forward. Has a couple losses, but shown massive improvements. Been working hard at Jackson Wink. You gotta rep the great state of New Mexico anytime you can. And Michelle Waterson has been one of the best out there, continuously working, continuously staying on the grind, and improving her game. That wrestling game that I'm talking about, that's going to, if she's able to pull this win out, that's going to be a key to victory right there. Get this fight to the ground. Like you said, Marina Rodrigues, last 4 losses, she's been taken down. And if Waterson is able to get this fight to the ground, I see good things going for her in that aspect. What do you think?
Well, I'm just looking up the numbers right now for how many takedowns she's been averaging per fight, and she's gotten pretty much 1 takedown in each of her last 4 fights. Bad news, AJ. She's 1-3 in that span. So I like Marina Rodrigues. Give me a decision. Give me the cleanup for the rematch. I don't know exactly why this fight is happening. Maybe I missed something in the news for why they rebooked this, but give me Marina Rodrigues. How do you see it?
I'm right there with you, Derick. I'm going Marina Rodrigues. It feels sad going against New Mexico, but I have to in this one because Marina Rodrigues is that talented fighter. I see nothing coming for her for the win, but I do see her taking the win, and that's why this is my prop lock, -180 on that decision for Marina Rodrigues, folks.
And folks, I'm gonna double it down. My man AJ with what prop locks on the minus money again. My man, you better hit, AJ. I'm holding you accountable this time, bro. You better hit. All right. Listen, folks, let's keep it pushing. Brian the Butcher Battle. He goes to war against AJ Fletcher this weekend. I had a real qualm with this matchup. This was by far the hardest pick for me all week long. And I know for a lot of people, they're probably like, why? And Brian Battle all day, right? And I do think Brian Battle will come out of this fight victorious. But I do think that AJ Fletcher has a very unique skill set that can completely shut down the game of Battle, depending on if he has the cardio to keep it up for 15 minutes. Now, what we have to acknowledge is that Brian Battle has put on a stunning series of performances, right? Aside from getting thrown to the Wolves against Renat Fakhretdinov, there we go. Aside from getting thrown to the Wolves by that man, he's pretty much put on a run. You know what I mean? He's knocked out Takashi Sato. He had the big win against Gabe Green. All of the good stuff right there. He's put on against these guys. AJ Fletcher got a big win in his last fight, man, but he's kind of faltered a little bit. So my question to you here, AJ, man, is do you think that AJ Fletcher can use that grappling and repeat the performance that Renat Fakhretdinov did and just hold Brian Battle down for 15 minutes without suffering the consequences of that knockout power of Brian Battle?
Do I think AJ Fletcher can repeat that Fakhretdinov fight against Brian Battle, Derick? I don't think so. With the way Brian Battle has kind of come into his own after the Ultimate Fighter, yeah, he suffered that loss in a second to last one against Fakhretdinov, but the way he has shown growth and exponential growth at that same point speaks massively to the way Brian Battle's mentality and fight style goes into this, man. This dude is growing left and right. We saw him, like I said, on the Ultimate Fighter. He was a chubby guy. He used to go as Pooh Bear. Now he's the Butcher, bro. He's cleaned up, cut down, and knocking people out left and right. I think the power, the speed, and the agility that Brian Battle's going to present is going to be a very, very hard time for AJ Fletcher, one, to even get a hold of Brian Battle, but also two, to keep him down. Do you think AJ Fletcher possesses the ability to actually keep Brian Battle to, well, one, at least get the fight to the ground, and then two, hold Brian Battle down once he does?
100%, man, but it's weird because AJ Fletcher, in my opinion, is such a skilled grappler, but I just see him, he's getting dominated in the grappling. It's weird, man, because I'm like, you have the skill set. There's something that's missing here. And the other big component is that you'll see him at big burst where he's hurting his opponents, man. If you look at the fight that he just took, man, against Angelusa, right? Lusa, pretty steadily dominating the fight. Second round, randomly, he just says, all right, man, I'm just going to uncork hooks, brawl style, let's go. And he hurts Lusa, but he couldn't keep it up for the other 5 minutes for the next round. You get taken down, you get dominated in the grappling, and there you have it. Look at the Themba Gorimbo fight, right? He's kind of getting out wrestled, turned it around for a guillotine, ends up getting the win, man. So that's the thing that leaves me hesitant, because I feel like if you put it all together, this is a smash spot for the plus 145 underdog AJ Fletcher. However, I just don't see it, man. But this is what we need to address. Brian Battle with 2 stunning first-round KOs. Last time that we seen him with the unanimous decision win, it was against Tresean Gore. And that wasn't like a bell-to-bell domination victory. Tresean Gore probably landed the more damaging shots throughout the fight. He just didn't have the volume. So does that worry you at all? If this goes all 3 rounds, 15 minutes, AJ, if it does go that way, do you think AJ Fletcher can rack up the more damage with the big shots and maybe some control? Or do you think that Brian Battle should skate out of there with the new and improved Butcher Battle that we're seeing?
I think Brian Battle skates out of there, Derick, especially with the not lack of cardio that AJ Fletcher has, but the amount of power he possesses in that blitz style. It drains that gas tank really, really fast. And that's kind of what we say, especially like you said, with the Angelusa fight. Doing well, beating him up, landing the big bombs, but then you get outpowered and controlled in the end of the fight. Yeah, it could have been because you got tired. It could have been because Angelusa is an absolute beast in there and he's strong as can be. And that could have some effect right here, but Brian Battle's that same style of fighter. Arguably a little less power than Angelusa, but he still does have the power to put you to sleep, has the gas tank to get things going. I think Brian Battle's going to be the one lasting longer in this cage. Although at the same point, man, you do make a very compelling case for AJ Fletcher in the fact of his wrestling. And if he's able to control this and conserve that energy and not put the blast out there, not hit him with the blitz, then AJ Fletcher might be looking good in this fight. I just don't see it happening that way.
Yeah, I mean, this is just the one fight that I would not be surprised to see 29-28 AJ Fletcher, just pure domination victory, kept Bryan Battle down, didn't let him get to his offense. But that's the thing is he's such a scary guy, man, with that timing, with that power, he puts people away. Like, he's flatlining these guys, man. Like, this is not just a punches and bunches type of guy. So when we're looking at these odds, man, I will say Bryan Battle has swollen to a minus 190 favorite. AJ Fletcher is looking at plus 160 comeback. So it hasn't swelled too crazy for Bryan Battle, but he's definitely a substantial favorite for the props on the Bryan Battle side. Why is the TKO plus 475 if this dude is starching dudes like this? Do you see value there?
I'm not sure, Derek. I actually was seeing a lot of value because it's a plus 475 odd. And at first I looked at it and I was like, man, that's weird. Maybe there's something else we don't know that's going on right there. But I mean, from what all we know, Bryan Battle has that spark, has that tenacity to get the knockouts. And it makes me a little curious to why they think the submission's at a plus 275. Is it because AJ Fletcher is going to be hunting the takedowns, get to the ground, Bryan Battle out controls him, outworks him, he gets a submission? I don't know, Derek. I see a lot of value in that plus 475 TKO, but do you see any in that plus 275 submission?
I actually do. And I think it's for exactly the reasons that you just mentioned, man. We see AJ Fletcher get tired, give up his back, just put himself in a turtle position. And a lot of these guys, they have submission opportunities. I don't really see them jump on it. But I see Bryan Battle either going in and trying to just snatch like a rear naked choke, get him out of there, because Bryan Battle can grapple as well. Or, yeah, just club and sub, man. Or not club and sub, just beat him up, ground and pound. You know what I mean? Either way, I think this is a closer fight than people would think, but I like Bryan Battle. And I'm going to actually, AJ, believe it or not, even though I see juice in that finish, I think that AJ Fletcher is a tough guy. I think he's going to take him to a decision, plus 250 for that decision. I see a lot of value there, so that's going to be my pick. Are you rolling the same?
Close, Derek. I'm actually going to steal a little bit of your thunder with what you just said, man. I'm taking that club and sub rear naked choke. Folks, I'm gonna if it hits, I got to give some credit over to my boy over there who said it, man. Rear naked choke. I see that one being the key right here. Give me that plus 275 submission.
All right, fair play. We will find out next week. All right, and to open us up, Ricardo Ramos versus Charles Jourdain. Now, for Ricardo Ramos, man, this dude made a lot of noise, went viral. 2 spinning back elbow knockouts in the UFC. That's just impressive. I don't care who it's against. I don't care who did it. That's impressive. But AJ, I do think that the miraculous grappler in Ricardo Ramos, who has some pretty unique stand-up, I just think that he's facing Charles Jourdain at the wrong time in his career. And the reason why is because I think that we're now seeing the most composed, most technical, most patient, most sticking to the game plan Charles Jourdain that we've probably seen thus far. Do you think that Ricardo Ramos can lull Jourdain out into that brawl, that good old time? Let's just have some fisticuffs, bring it back old school? Or do you think Charles Jourdain says those days are over? I'm championship hunting. I'm just fighting smart and racking up wins. What do you think?
That's an interesting question, Derek, because could Ricardo Ramos lull that barnyard bang out style of fight out of Jourdain? Yes. We've seen Jourdain do it left and right, man. This guy is down to scrap, and you can tell he enjoys that kind of style of fight. But at the same time, I agree with you, because this is the worst time to be fighting Air Jourdain. Nonetheless, is he composed? Is he technical? Is he all the things you were saying before? But he's also very hungry, Derek. He's very, very hungry with all the losses he's had. Dropped the one to Nathaniel Wood, Shane Burgos. Yeah, he got the one on Chrome Gracie, but it was almost a gimme in everybody's eyes. You got Chrome Gracie scooting over at you. It's an easy fight for Jourdain. Now, that being said, on the other side, Ricardo Ramos, he's not the kind of grappler that's going to be doing that. He's going to be looking for his opposition. He's going to be looking for his opportunity to really make a big splash in this one. I just think at this point with Air Jourdain, man, he's dangerous, he's quick, he's powerful, and he's hungry going for that. I think this is a very dangerous fight for Ricardo Ramos to be in there. What besides the grappling, Derek, because obviously Ricardo Ramos is a very skilled grappler, other than that, where do you see the most effect or the most substantial control or damage or whatever you want to call it for the Ricardo Ramos side? Because me personally, I think it's in that chaos. I think it's in those spinning attacks. And I think it's in the stuff that Jourdain isn't going to see when you get lulled into that brawl. But the question is, can he? What do you think?
I think it's all going to be dictated on if he can use his footwork to keep Jourdain on his back foot, push him up against the cage, and then start unleashing some of those crazy attacks. Because when your back is up against the wall, that's when things hit the fan, proverbially, right? That's when I can see Charles Jourdain doing the things that he shouldn't do, jumping up for a flying knee, trying to do some crazy kind of Hail Mary attack to just earn some respect and earn some distance. And then that's when I see Ricardo Ramos say, here's my opportunity. Now we go for the takedown. Now we start throwing up some submissions. Now, I do think Charles Jourdain can use that black belt the same way he did against Kron Gracie, purely defensively, which I think is smart. This is mixed martial arts. This is not jiu-jitsu. So you could sell out for the submission, but if Jourdain can say, I'm going to get in your guard, I'm going to shell up, you're not going to be able to do anything, I'm going to get back to my feet, and we're going to go right back to basics, I think that's going to be the best path to victory. When we're looking at numbers such as like reach and height, man, Ricardo is the longer fighter, bro. So it's like Jourdain's going to have to close a little bit of distance to be able to go and make his impact felt. I think more than anything else here, we kind of have an experience gap too. You look at a couple of these wins, Danny Chavez, Bill Algeo, big wins for Ricardo Ramos, but then Charles Jourdain, Kron Gracie, Lando Venata, Andre Ewell, Marcelo Rojo, like you got some real killers, chaotic fighters coming at you that you're able to do damage against. It's just when you reach the pinnacles, like the Nathaniel Woods. I don't want to say Shane Burgos now after we've seen kind of how the career panned out in the PFL, but Julian Erosa, Andre Fili, I mean, those are some good guys to lose to, you know what I mean? So how do you see this fight playing out? Do we see a finish here? Do we see a decision? What do you think?
I see a finish, Derek, but I see a finish coming late out of the Jourdain side. I think Jourdain's going to be a lot more calculated, a lot more comfortable in the fight, and going to allow things to play out before he attacks in and goes full vicious mode. I think Jourdain has that kind of mentality going about him now. He's learned a lot. He's had the losses. He's beat the people that he should. You know, he's had the strife in his career that he knows where to grow. And I think if he rushes into this fight too fast, too aggressive, too thick-headed, then I think he's going to be in trouble for Ricardo Ramos. So I can imagine the camp of Jourdain is thinking the same thing, man. Chill out a little bit. Let the first round go. Let him get his energy out and then come in and earn that respect. Put the knuckles to him and get to work. I'm looking for a finish later on, like I said, in the third or so. But what about you, Derek? How do you see this one? You see it being a finish, or are we going decision route?
I like a decision right here, man, and I'm predicating all of this based on we have the new and improved Charles Jourdain, who is calculated, patient, and willing to get a victory more than he's willing to get a highlight reel finish. Now, if a finish does come, believe it or not, I do think it comes from Ricardo Ramos, and I think it comes early. I think he gets an early finish, first-round finish. He got a lot of those first-round finishes on his resume. However, give me my prop lock of the night, Charles Jourdain, plus 190 with a decision. Put it in as a lock. Put it in an envelope, ship that thing on out, and make a ton of money on this one because I think this is what we got right here. So, with that being said, we both like Charles Jourdain. I think that this should be a proving grounds fight. Once again, winner of this fight gets to take that next step and really solidify themselves as, hey, I'm one of these next guys coming up. But that's all that I got on this matchup. AJ, anything else on this one?
I'm with you, Derek, and there's a reason it's a prop lock, folks, because it's such a juicy plus 190 over there for the Jourdain side. I'm also taking the decision on this one. Better cash in, folks, before we take all the money for ourselves.
That's right. I mean, might as well just have to do it. You know what I mean? If y'all ain't cashing in, somebody got to, and it might as well be me. You dig? All right, folks. With that being said, that is your main card. Now to the most coveted aspect of the show, segment of the show. We're going to be highlighting the unknowns of today, but the stars of tomorrow, the people who you're going to be saying, oh, man, remember when they had just came on the scene like 3 years ago or something? Now they're fighting for the title. Those are the people that we're going to be highlighting. But before we do that, if you're still sticking around here with us, which you should, because we're getting to a very coveted part of the show, you should subscribe. If you have not subscribed already, I don't know what to tell you. This is your favorite fighter's favorite fight show. And don't be a bad friend. Share the wealth, spread the wealth, and let the people know. This is where you need to go for fight analysis, wagers, picks, and just overall a good time. You already know. AJ, anything before we get into these sleepers?
Woo, I couldn't have said it any better, folks. All around a good time, and there's no better time than when we're filling those pocketbooks up with some cash, and this is the show that is going to provide for you week in, week out, 2 times a week, so that way you look like the big bad guy at the bar over there, getting all the girls, getting all the money, and getting all the glory. What else do you want? All we want is just a subscription down below and a comment to show us how you found it. Make sure you're sharing it with your friends, too.
You heard the man. All right, folks, it's time for some sleepers. Let's get it.
Time for some fight night.
If you ain't paying attention, you're gonna sleep on me and I'm gonna wake you up.
All right, AJ, it's time for the 60-second bar pitch. You're over here, beautiful lady across the bar. Your buddy's gonna go talk to her, gonna spit some game. You're gonna say, hey, brother, there's some fights on, man. Listen, hey, women, distractions, no, fights forever. Yes, that's right. Shout out Khabib. All right, man, let's talk about it. AJ, if you do not mind, I would like for you to actually kick us on off, man. We got some heavyweights here today, man. Oh my goodness, Jake Collier, Mohamed Usman. Talk to the people, AJ.
I got a fun one for us this week, folks. And yeah, the names might sound a little familiar if you've at least been watching here in the last year or so. You know the name Usman from his younger brother, or no, the older brother. I forget which way they are. But either way, his brother fighting used to be the champ. Now Muhammad, it's his time to come in here, right? And he's facing against what I would consider a killer, Jake Collier. Very, very dangerous fighter, but he's on a bad streak right now, man. Jake Collier just never seems to catch a break. The reason I chose this fight, folks, pure violence from the jump. I don't expect this fight to go any longer than the first round because you got the steamroller. I don't even know if Muhammad has a nickname. Oh, the motor. There we go. They should call him the steam truck or whatever because Muhammad Usman is going to send out a blitz. He's going to go from the beginning. He's going to be fighting on the front foot, and he's got mallets in these hands, and he's going to deliver some damage. But the thing with Jake Collier, a prototype, he's fast, he's quick, he's that heavyweight that can move like a lightweight, but also deliver the damage right there. That's why I think this fight's going to be a lot of fun. These two are going to meet in the middle and clash for about, 30, 40 seconds. If anything, I don't expect this fight to go any longer than the first, and that's why it's my sleeper, folks. Pure violence, big boys throwing ham hocks down the lane. You better get out of the way, or you better just tune in, because this is a sleeper section for a reason, folks. Derek, what do you think, and who's yours?
I think it's going to be a fun fight, man. The only thing that I'll say is that when you got two heavy hitters like this and there's really no plans to shoot a takedown, I mean, unless you're Muhammad Usman, because he might just do it. Yeah, it's not going to last long. Tune in while you can. Someone's getting slept. All right, AJ, let me bring in my sleeper right here. Folks, if you know anything about this program, you know something about me, and that's that I like to highlight regional women's mixed martial arts to become the next to do it on the grand stage of the UFC. And for that reason, I'm going to have to bring in somebody who has already had their debut fight. We are talking about Tamiris Vidal versus Montserrat Rendon. Now, this is going to be a good sleeper fight here because in Tamiris Vidal, she came off of the first knockout of her career, if I remember correctly, and it was against Ramona Pascual, right? Women's bantamweight has some life. We're finally talking. It wasn't just a knockout. It was a flying knee to the bread basket that got her out of there. You got to love to see it. Now she gets to fight somebody who's got a real interesting skill set, Montserrat Rendon. Very technical boxer, right? Throwing out straight ones and twos. And I want to see how these styles contrast because Vidal, even though she had that flying TKO win, she's riding that nice win streak. A lot of these wins that she's getting, submissions, heel hooks. She has already fought a couple of UFC-ready people like Aileen Perez, and the other fighter that she did fight was, I'm going to have to look it up. But the point is, folks, UFC ready. She's got some experience. She's a grappler. I want to show off the full MMA skill set right there, and there's no better person to do it against than a conventional boxer who's going to sit there and try to give you that 1-2 piece them up. This is going to be fun for the reason of this is new life in the women's bantamweight division that is the most dead that we've seen in quite some time, right? No champion. All of these divisions right now are struggling. We need someone who's going to be exciting, who's going to call their shot. What better than the Brazilian Tamiris Vidal making her shot? I mean, what else can I say? AJ, what you got on that?
I think this one's going to be a very fun fight, Derek. It's hard for me not to go with the boxer in Rendon, especially that Raza representing, but Vidal is a very dangerous fighter. I like her in this fight. This one's going to be a blast.
And then, folks, for those who were paying attention, her only loss in the UFC has come against current UFC veteran, top 10 fighter, Carol Hossa, back in the day, right? And then that other fight that she did have was against Aileen Perez, where she won via disqualification. So she lost. She was getting beat up the whole fight, got kneed illegally, and then she ended up winning the fight. So that is your sleeper section, folks. And now let's move on to a little bit of a prelim pour over. Now, AJ, listen, man, we've covered a lot of these fights right here. I'm not going to say that this is the Proving Grounds theme through and through, but it absolutely is, man. This is not highest echelon of UFC competition right here, but we got some good ones. One in particular I wanted to highlight, Tim the Dirty Bird Means. He makes a comeback against Andre Fialho. This is going to be a really, really good fight, and I want your thought and your opinion on it. What do you think?
Man, this one's going to be a really fun fight here, Derek. You got the Dirty Bird, again, repping New Mexico. How can you not love him? But he's going up against a dangerous fighter in Fialho, man. I actually, it's hard to say because I love Tim Means. I love me some Tim Means scrap, but I do like Andre Fialho in this fight just because of the tenacity and the danger Fialho puts forward, man. This dude is a dog in there, and he's going to be down to fight, and we all know the Dirty Bird's going to bring the violence. What do you think, Derek? Who are you leaning towards on this one?
I like Andre Fialho, but I cannot count out Tim Means because this is the first 3-fight losing streak of a man's 38-fight career. First time. Imagine. You're 39 years old. He's almost 40 years old. and this is the first time you're on that streak. You got something to prove, but AJ, as we know, Father Time is undefeated, and that's not quite the age range you want to be in to be suffering a streak like this. You got to know when to hold him, know when to fold him, and Andre Fialio might just fold him this weekend, bro. All right, man. Jacob Malkoun versus Cody Brundage. This is going to be a grappler's delight. For those who want blood, gore, and entertainment, do not watch this fight. But for those who want to see high-level mixed martial arts and just overall grappling, yeah, watch it. Jacob Malkoun, he's going to show something. What do you think about this one, AJ?
I was actually thinking Cody Brundage is going to show something in this fight, Derek, but I agree with you. If you're looking for domination and violence, don't really tune in and don't expect too much out of them. Yeah, both these fighters can do that, but I'm thinking it's a more technical match right here for both of these ones. I like Jacob Malkoun. I feel just a little jaded because he's let me down on some picks before, but also at the same point, man, Cody Brundage is a dog in there and always going to be in the fight. You know, even if he's losing, he's always mentally there. He's going to be putting the pressure on. Honestly, I'm not leaning one way or another. I want to lean towards Cody Brundage, but at the same point, he's let me down a couple times too, Derek. Who are you leaning?
I like Jacob Malkoun here. I think he gets the job done. He's a massive favorite. I think he's almost a minus 500 favorite. Cody Brundage is the guy that you love, that you want him to win, but he's losing in these fights sometimes. He's having really great moments and then just making a mistake and losing time and time again. There's only so many times it can happen, and I think his coach is Mark Montoya over at Factory X Muay Thai, and he's kind of saying the same thing. It's like, my man can't catch a break, but one of these days, he's good, man. He's got to catch a win. This might be it. Who knows? All right, AJ, Miles Johns versus Dan Argueta. Now, that's going to be an interesting fight. Dan Argueta is coming off that vicious submission, was almost a victory against my man. Why am I blanking on my man's name? I'm going to pull it up. Ronnie Lawrence just got cut from the UFC, actually, unfortunately. But yes, Keith Peterson came in, messed everything up for Ronnie Lawrence. My man got cut now, and now Dan Argueta, he is out of a victory, and he has to now fight against Miles Johns, which, AJ, is going to be a much tougher fight right here. Miles Johns is no slouch, and I think it's going to be interesting to see. Can Dan Argueta take him down and control him, or is Miles Johns going to use that technical striking that he always done to win this fight? What do you think?
I'm betting on Miles Johns on this one, Derek, but never count out a guy who is hungry in Dan Argueta, man. We've seen him provide wildness. I mean, chaos in the ring. Dan Argueta's a wild man in there, but I do like the striking of Miles Johns going forward. And yeah, Dan Argueta, very, very dangerous. We saw his win against Nick Aguirre. He's able to do things in Dan Argueta that you wouldn't expect this young of a fighter to be able to do. He stays in there, he's composed, he gets things done, but I like the striking of Johns, Derek. What about you?
I think Miles Johns is going to really display some of that technical proficiency that we've taken for granted. I think at times, man, he's racked up a very respectable 4-2 tenure in the UFC thus far. And even though he's had some setbacks that we probably didn't expect, I don't know if Dan Argueta is going to be able to pass this test. And I just feel bad because if he does not, then he was really robbed out of a win against Ronnie Lawrence, man. That was bad overall, through and through. But that is pretty much your prelims right there. AJ, only fight that we didn't talk about was Mizuki. Only UFC fighter that got one name. She's like Cher, right? Mizuki, nice. Inui, I think is the last name, but she's fighting Hannah Goldie. Should be a smash spot for Mizuki, but Hannah Goldie, I mean, she is game. She can get the victory right here. Don't really got to talk about it, but do you have any thoughts on that?
I was thinking smash spot for Mizuki as well, Derek. Never count out Hannah Goldie, though, folks. She is very dangerous. Just, I mean, a little past, not past her prime, but a little past her time in the UFC to really make a big impact. I think this is a smash spot for Mizuki.
All right, fair play. And here we are. We made it to an outro. So, folks, as you can see, there's a little meat left on the bone on this card, right? I think there's some better matchmaking could have gave us some little more entertaining bouts. But you never know. Sometimes these are the cards that have all the finishes that come out to be just the highlight performances nonstop. So I will say this. When it comes down to the main event, that's one of the most high-level main events that you're going to get in quite some time. AJ, if I'm not mistaken, I'm actually going to look it up right now so the people know. So apologies if this takes me just 1 second. But the next UFC fight, actually, AJ, yeah, we got a week off after this one. It's Grant Dawson versus Bobby the King Green, or just kidding, King, right? That's my man right there, October 7th. So this is the last fight that you're going to be getting for a little bit, folks. Tune in, enjoy, and let's see what October brings us. AJ, get us out of here.
Ooh, Derek said it best, folks. This might not be the card everybody's looking for. There might be a little meat left on the bone, but you know what meat left on the bone means to me is we're eating, we're getting money in your pockets, and there's a reason you're tuning into this show right here because we're doing it week in, week out. Don't worry about going in and doing the deep dive, going in and seeing all this stuff, looking at props, looking up, money lines, all that stuff. We got you covered. Just make sure you're taking the check down to your local sports book, cashing in, and leaving it down in the comments below. Let everybody know. Brag a little bit about yourself. Let them know you're winning some money out here because I know you are if you're taking our props, if you're taking our bets, if you're taking our picks. I know you're winning some money, so let us know down below. And that's why I demand that you hit that subscribe button, because if we're doing that for you, all you got to do is send a little love to your boys over here at the Bloody Water Podcast. Let us know. Share it with your friends. We're your favorite fighter's favorite fight show for a reason, folks, and because we're bringing quality, not just quantity, even though we got the quantity unlocked too, but we're winning you money, and that's what matters, folks. What do you think, Derek? You got anything else for him?
Folks, I'm just going to say this. If you look at the lifetime of this channel, we have like over 1,600 videos on this account. We're grinding for you guys. If you don't respect it, then get out of here. We'll take it for the people who are. All right, folks, all love. We'll catch you on the post show. We got a big accountability hour coming, and you know it's going to be green, not red. You love that. All right, folks, until next time. Peace.